Oh, somebody started recording. Okay.
Ok, ya alguien empezó a grabar.
Okay. All right. So with the help of Hashem, we'll do more Musar.
Con la ayuda de Hashem haremos más Musar.
And today we're going to do about in these series of Musar work that Rabbi has.
Hoy vamos a ver más sobre la serie del trabajo que Rab Wolbe tiene.
And the subject will be about contemplation.
Y el tema será contemplación.
Okay, and we had before when we talked about contemplation. I mean,
Y ya habíamos hablado antes de contemplación.
we learned that practically every step in this ladder of Mesilas Yesharim involves contemplation.
Habíamos dicho que en la escalera, cada escalón requería o constaba de contemplación.
Okay, and the ladder of that we do in the Mesilas Yesharim.
Me refiero a la escalera que hacemos en Mesusa Sharim.
Okay, so if you want, you could sum up that a lot of Musar growth is based on this contemplation.
Y si quieren, pues podemos resumir que mucho del crecimiento en Musar se basa o depende de contemplación.
So what is this contemplation at all? What is it?
Así es de que, ¿qué es esta contemplación?
And how does somebody, if it's so important, so how does somebody do it?
Y si es tan importante, ¿cómo lo lleva a cabo la persona?
Yeah. And so let us learn, let us see if we can learn from Volby here.
Bueno, veamos si podemos aprender de Rab Wolbe aquí.
Okay, so he says contemplation is close to thinking.
La contemplación está muy cercano a pensar.
But there's a difference, and that's why it has its own department here.
Pero hay una diferencia y por ello es que aquí tiene su propio departamento.
All right, so what is thinking?
Bueno, entonces, ¿qué es pensar?
That means Rav Wolbe is going to define each one here, what's thinking and what contemplation, then we'll understand it better, what contemplation.
Rab Wolbe lo va a definir aquí y entonces nosotros podremos entender mejor.
He's going to define thinking and he will define contemplation.
Él va a definir lo que es pensar y lo que es contemplar.
And so then we'll understand what contemplation is better.
Y así nosotros entenderemos mejor qué es la contemplación.
Okay. All right. So he says thinking is the power a person has.
Pensar es el poder que la persona tiene
To be involved in abstract things.
Para involucrarse en cosas abstractas.
Even if it's something tangible.
Aunque sea tangible.
And he undresses its like it's tangible, it's sensed garment, like cloth. He undresses the part that's sensed, that's the senses that can be sensed.
Es capaz de desvestir la parte que se intuye por los sentidos.
And again, it penetrates to the abstract nature of the thing.
Penetra la naturaleza abstracta de las cosas.
And the conclusion that you come to is based on this this like abstraction.
Y la conclusión a la que llega está basada en esta abstracción.
Okay. Okay, but contemplation.
Bueno, contemplación
It concentrates on things that can be sensed.
se concentra en las cosas que pueden ser that can or cannot,
Can be sensed.
que pueden ser sentidas por los sentidos.
Okay, and contemplates them from all angles.
Y las contempla de todos los ángulos,
Okay, without abstracting.
sin abstraer.
So he says that our kind of what we do, the intention that we have in prayers.
Entonces, la intención que tenemos en el rezo
is more relates to contemplation than thinking.
se relaciona más a la contemplación que al pensamiento.
That means we perceive ourselves as if we're standing, talking to Hashem.
Nos percibimos como hablando con Hashem.
That's like a contemplation, like something that we.
Eso es
This
algo.
is a contemplation.
Esto es contemplación.
Okay, so we have one kind of contrast between these two things.
Entonces, hasta aquí tenemos como que un contraste entre ambas.
Again, so to review, thinking is abstract.
Entonces, otra vez, pensar es abstracto.
So the goal is to abstract from whatever you can sense, some rules or whatever.
La meta es abstraer de cualquier cosa que se pueda sentir, las reglas.
Okay, but contemplation is just not abstracting, just growing in this awareness of what is present.
Y contemplar es solo estar al tanto de lo que está expresado.
Again, growing in awareness of what is present.
Contemplar es crecer en el estar consciente de lo que está sucediendo.
Okay, good, very good. All right, so now he goes on to another difference in these things.
Ahora pasa a otra diferencia en esto.
All right. In thinking, the goal is to, clear your slate and not involve anything else, let anything else get in the way.
Entonces, en contemplar,
Not in contemplar,
in thinking. Perdón. En pensar. Está involucrado el vaciar el plato, no tener nada sobre él.
And really, if anything else gets into the picture, that's a distraction to the thinking.
Y si algo entra en escena, eso, what would it do to the thinking?
It's a distraction to the thinking. It takes away from the thinking.
Es, si algo entra en escena, va a distraer de la acción del pensar.
All right, but contemplation is different.
La contemplación es diferente.
Somehow it includes all of the senses of a person.
De alguna manera incluye todos los sentidos de la persona.
So everything has to be a participant in this thing.
Todo tiene que llegar a ser un participante de esto.
Okay, and if we're contemplating something that it's not available to our immediate senses.
Si estamos contemplando algo que no está disponible a nuestros sentidos inmediatos,
So then you have to use your power of imagination.
entonces tendremos que usar el poder de la imaginación.
All right, so we're going to see that for the Torah, we need both these things.
Entonces vamos a ver que para la Torah vamos a usar ambas cosas.
Okay, so you need the abstract. You need,
Entonces vamos a necesitar lo abstracto.
This we need always to be able to see things objectively.
Esto siempre lo vamos a necesitar para ver las cosas de manera objetiva.
Okay. This is the explanation I'm explaining at this point. I think we've probably explained it somewhere else, but at the moment I'm explaining it kind of from memory.
Creo que Ralph Wolby lo explica en alguna parte. De momento yo lo estoy explicando de memoria.
Okay, and I called it right brain, to think with the right brain, this abstract thought.
A esta manera abstracta de pensar, yo le llamo pensar con la parte del lado derecho del cerebro.
Because I don't know, because we, in our thing, that we consider that kind of like on the right, and the other thing on contemplation kind of on the left, for whatever reason.
Porque por alguna razón, este pensar lo atribuimos al lado derecho y la contemplación al lado izquierdo.
Right, and in the science, somehow they tell you that the brain is somehow switched to.
Los científicos, la ciencia, de alguna manera nos lo dicen así o lo explican.
No, they say that I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I think they associate, right, but I don't want to get into how they look at things. I don't want to be involved in that, really.
Bueno, yo no quiero meterme en la manera en que ellos ven las cosas.
And just that we, okay. That's not. It's not really so important that part. I'm sorry.
Bueno, no es tan importante esa parte. Perdón.
And again, so you have to have this an abstract. So a person has to be able to do abstract thinking.
Así es de que la persona tendría que ser capaz de hacer el pensamiento abstracto.
Because in that, like, kind of laboratory, he can get to like an absolute truth without any.
Porque así podría llegar a una verdad absoluta sin distracción alguna.
Let's say you have an opportunity to steal $1 million from the bank.
Digamos que tiene oportunidad de robar dinero del banco.
So you have to go at that point, $1 million from the bank.
$1,000,000 del banco.
So you have to go into your right brain, into this abstract thinking and say, stealing, I know that stealing is wrong.
Entonces tendría que adentrarse a esta parte derecha del cerebro y decir, robar es malo.
And so then, and this is going to be considered stealing.
Y esto puede ser considerado robar.
Even though nobody could catch me, is going to catch me.
Aunque nadie me atrape.
And so then, you know, that's your objective truth. And then you have to try to go talk to yourself and convince yourself to apply this truth and not to steal it.
Y entonces uno llegará a concluir esta verdad, a convencerse de no robar.
Again, then you have to take this objective truth.
Bueno, tenemos que tomar esta verdad objetiva.
And then apply it to yourself and tell yourself not to do it.
Y aplicársela a uno mismo y decirse a uno mismo, convencerse de no hacerlo.
So you say to yourself, don't steal. You better not steal.
Bueno,
That's all. Don't steal.
Nos decimos a nosotros mismos, es mejor que no robes.
Right. And then if you hear somebody says, no, it's good to steal, if you hear another opposing voice, then you have to start fighting. I don't know what you have to do. You have to start fighting with yourself.
Y luego si escuchas una voz que se opone a esa voz, tal vez empiece una lucha interna.
Then you have to fight. I mean, but at least you know the objective. But in terms of what's right and what's wrong, that you figured out.
Tal vez ya empiece allí, en ese momento, una lucha, pero en cuanto a saber lo que es correcto y no correcto, ya lo sabes.
Okay. And you know, not everybody in this kind of thinking, this right brain, not everybody could do this properly. I mean,
no todos pueden llegar a hacer esto de manera adecuada.
Okay, because when it's clear things like the case we said, where it's clear you're stealing, so then it's simple, you know, it's easier.
Porque cuando está claro, es simple de deducir.
Okay, but where it gets more and more into grayer areas, so then it's more. You have to be stronger in this thinking to have clarity.
Pero entre más llega a esas áreas grises, más pensar será necesario involucrar.
You have to be stronger. You have to have more strength in your and clarity in your abstract thinking.
Se requerirá más fuerza en este pensar abstracto.
Okay.
Strength y claridad.
Strength and clarity. Okay. Right. So now Rav Wolbe also has a series of exercises about thinking. Yeah.
Entonces Rav Wolbe también tiene una serie de ejercicios en cuanto a pensar.
And it's something like think about one thing for 5 minutes, and then think about it for 10 minutes, and so on and so.
Entonces él dice, piensa algo durante 5 minutos. Think on it 5 minutes and then
Think about one thing for 10 minutes, for 5 minutes.
piensa en una cosa por 5 minutos.
And then try to increase that and do it to think about this one thing for 10 minutes.
Y luego trata de incrementar el tiempo pensando en lo mismo, pero ahora por 10 minutos.
And then after that, you try to think about this one thing while you're walking around and doing other things.
Y luego trata de pensar sobre esto mismo mientras estás caminando o haciendo otras cosas.
That's what those exercises look like. But I'm not. I don't get involved in that. You know, I'm not getting involved in that for now.
Bueno, en eso consisten esos ejercicios, pero yo no me voy a involucrar con ello ahora.
And right, because we're going to do contemplation, because this is more. It's more necessary and more important for Musar, even more important for Musar.
La contemplación es más importante para Musar.
Yeah, right, and so that's why we're doing contemplation about this.
Y por eso vamos a hacer lo de la contemplación.
Okay, but all right. So far we learned that, you know, abstract thinking you need all the time.
Para el pensamiento abstracto se necesitaría todo el tiempo.
So far we learned. This is what we learned.
Esto es lo que hasta aquí hemos aprendido.
And so the next thing is what is contemplation for? I mean,
entonces lo siguiente sería, ¿para qué es la contemplación?
So really contemplation is the part that something will make a stronger impression on you.
La contemplación es para lograr una mayor impresión en mí.
Okay, so if awareness, and without going away from the awareness, this will build up in you like the power of this thing of affecting you.
Entonces, estar al tanto va a incrementar este poder que nos afecta.
Again, this being aware of something and keep on increasing, like just holding on to awareness of this something.
O sea, estar consciente, estar al tanto de algo y mantenerse al tanto de eso
will build the impression of this thing into yourself.
Va a construir una impresión de ello en nosotros.
So it will make this thing have more and more of an impact on yourself.
Va a hacer que esto tenga más y más impacto en nosotros mismos.
Okay. All right, but in our practice, there's many blessings that we make.
En nuestra práctica tenemos tantas bendiciones que llevamos a cabo.
And so right, and so what's the point? Why do we have these blessings?
Entonces, ¿cuál es el objetivo de que tengamos estas bendiciones?
So the point is that we take awareness. It builds us awareness in these things.
Construye esta concientización, estar al tanto de, it builds awareness.
Yeah. And these
What?
things. And
En
these
estas
things.
cosas. En estas cosas.
For example,
Por ejemplo,
let's say we're about to eat an apple.
estamos por comer una manzana.
So then we say, blessed are you, Hashem created an apple.
Entonces decimos, bendito Hashem que creó la manzana.
So in there, so we didn't just take the apple, just like put it right in our mouth, shove it down our mouth, and that's the end of it.
Entonces, no vamos a tomar la manzana y tragarla rápido.
The point is that we had this moment when we took the apple in our hand, about to eat it.
La cosa es que tuvimos un momento, cuando tuvimos la manzana en la mano, a punto de comerla.
All of a sudden, we kind of contemplate. Had this contemplation moment.
De repente nos encontramos en este momento de contemplación.
And in that contemplation, we said, where did this apple come from?
Y en ese momento nos decimos, ¿y de dónde procede esta manzana?
And the apple, kind of like the fact that we have the apple in our hands, it kind of it impacted us. It's supposed to really impact us.
El hecho de que tengamos la manzana en la mano se supone que nos ha de impactar.
And we're supposed to realize, where it come from. It came from a tree.
Y debemos de pensar o darnos cuenta de dónde vino. Pues vino de un árbol.
And the tree, how did the tree get here? Because from the seed.
Y ese árbol, ¿cómo llegó a estar allí? Bueno, pues se formó desde una semilla.
How could it be such a thing that could happen?
¿Cómo puede ser que tal cosa suceda?
Oh, it has to be that Hashem made it like this. So
tiene que ser que Hashem lo hizo así.
So really the source of apples of Hashem is Hashem.
Entonces realmente Hashem es la fuente de la manzana.
So then we say, blessed are you Hashem, creator of the apple.
Por eso decimos, bendito seas tú, Hashem, el creador de la manzana.
Right, but if you didn't have any of these realizations, so the blessing doesn't mean so much.
Si no tenemos este estado de alerta en donde nos damos cuenta de ello, if we don't have this awareness, what?
Yes, then the blessing doesn't mean much. You don't even know why are you doing this.
Entonces la bendición no cuenta mucho, no tienes idea del significado de esto.
Right. So we're supposed to realize we're supposed to learn from this anyhow that a person is supposed to be a contemplative person.
Entonces aprendemos de esto que la persona debe de ser alguien que contempla, una persona contemplativa.
Okay, and even those who don't, even if you don't have an obligation of a blessing.
Aún quienes no tienen la obligación de bendecir.
Still, if something is in front of your eyes and you're not aware of what's going on, I mean.
Si algo está delante de tus ojos y no estás consciente de que así es.
So you're living life like a blind person you're not tapping into your own the potential of your own awareness.
Entonces, es como si estuvieras ciego, porque no estás entrando al potencial de esa realización, de ese darte cuenta.
This is the exercise he gives here.
Este es el ejercicio que nos da aquí.
Every day we should be contemplate.
Cada día debemos de contemplar
A leaf, a flower, or a fruit.
una hoja, una flor, una fruta.
Just be aware, just to take an awareness of just with your senses, take an awareness of this thing, more, more and more.
Darse cuenta de esto más y más,
Using your senses.
usando sus sentidos.
Okay, whatever it is, and each thing, I'm not gonna. Roby says that in school, it must be in Germany, he learned
Ralph Wolby dice que en la escuela él aprendió, debería de ser en Alemania, yo creo, su escuela.
that on one side of the leaf there's special ridges or something.
Que en un lado de la hoja de la planta hay como bordes.
And they I guess they absorb the rays of the sun and they make something oxygen out of it, whatever it is.
Y por medio de esa parte se toman los rayos del sol para producir oxígeno.
Okay, but he's not gonna. But every person has to contemplate for themselves to see what they see.
Pero cada persona tendrá que contemplar por sí mismo para ver lo que ve.
Okay, and this we'll try to do a day of like an exercise where every person will take where you attempt whoever is willing to do it will take something, whatever it will be, like a leaf or like any natural thing that you choose, and they will say, but it has to be a contemplation about it. If they want, they could write down a few things about it.
Bueno, lo que vamos a hacer es que por un día vamos a tomar algo de procedencia natural. Puede ser una flor o algo parecido. Y lo vamos a contemplar.
Okay, so but the contemplation is to try to be aware of this thing for a few minutes as much as you can.
La contemplación consistirá en estar al tanto de ese objeto por un momento.
For a few minutes.
Por algunos minutos.
Until your kind of at least your relationship with this thing changes.
Al menos hasta que nuestra relación con esa cosa cambie.
And we'll see that it does. That if you that anything that you pick up, you is more or less, at a certain extent, somewhat of a stranger to you. But if you keep on contemplating about it, all of a sudden it gets less of a stranger to you. Somehow it's more you become it's more from.
Cuando recién tomamos ese objeto de naturaleza, es algo así como un extraño, pero entre más lo contemplamos, más nos familiarizamos con él y deja de ser ese extraño.
As a less of a stranger, you have a new awareness of a new thing in the world. You'll renew your awareness of this thing anyhow.
dejará de ser ese extraño porque por lo menos vamos a renovar nuestra conciencia, nuestra estar al tanto de que existe esto.
And so we'll learn from that a person, you have in you capacity to change your thing, your awareness, your feelings about things around you.
Entonces va a crecer esta capacidad que tenemos de cambiar la relación o lo alerta que estamos de esto.
We could change the feelings we have, and plus we ourselves somehow are changed by this thing.
Podemos cambiar lo que sentimos hacia esa cosa.
And we ourselves are changed by this thing.
Y nosotros mismos, al experimentar eso, somos cambiados.
Okay. All right. So let's see if the people have questions or comments here.
Yes. Moshe. Rab, la contemplación que usted expone como tal se refiere al estado de Bekut. Pienso que depende del grado de revelación y ocultamiento que una persona puede tener sobre la Torá y cómo ponerla en práctica es la contemplación basada en la conciencia. ¿Cuál es su opinión? Well, he wrote it 20 minutes ago.
I don't want to offer my opinion. My goal is to avoid my opinion as much as possible.
Bueno, Moshe dice el Rab que su meta del Rab es evitar darnos su opinión.
As much as I can, unless only if it's absolutely necessary.
A menos de que sea muy necesario. Él lo evita lo más que puede.
Right, but over here, at least we have Rav Wolbe to tell us about what this contemplation is.
Pero aquí tenemos a Rav Wolbe diciéndonos qué es la contemplación.
Okay, and and now what you said about Dveikus, I think, is right.
Bueno, lo que mencionaste de Dvekut está correcto.
I think he's right.
Pienso que está correcto, Moshe.
Because I think that Dveikus is when you contemplate about Hashem.
Porque creo que Dvekut es cuando uno contempla sobre Hashem.
And then you make it that itself, this itself has an impact to yourself.
Y hacemos que esto nos impacte a nosotros mismos.
So that is a contemplation. This is a contemplation.
Eso es una contemplación.
Okay, and but in these, but we need this the power of contemplation. If we can understand it better and work on it, we can increase it. We can improve it, increase it.
Este poder de la contemplación, si lo estudiamos a profundidad o un poco más, vamos a ver que aumenta.
Okay, and we work on it. We work on exercising it.
Y trabajamos en ello, haciendo ejercicios.
Then we can improve. We can increase it, improve it.
Entonces lo podemos incrementar y mejorar.
Okay. Also, just like the abstract thinking, also you could increase and improve that part also.
También como en el proceso abstracto se puede incrementar también.
Good.
Bueno, Selma. Apreciado Raf, creo que estoy confundida. El pensamiento involucra la abstracción, mientras que la contemplación involucra todos los sentidos, más la abstracción del pensamiento. Well, I'm going to do it by parts. So the first question is, I am confused. Is thinking has to do with abstraction, while contemplation has to do with the senses and abstraction of the thought?
No, it's supposed to be two separate departments. One is considered the right brain and one is left brain. So it's two separate activities somehow.
Bueno, debe de ser considerado como dos actividades por separado de diferentes partes del cerebro.
One is
Okay. Una trabaja con el cerebro del lado derecho y la otra con el lado izquierdo del cerebro.
right. One is going into a laboratory and pulling out, trying to pull out the objective truth. That's one.
Una va a ir para sacar el pensamiento abstracto.
The objective truth.
Perdón, la verdad objetiva. Objective
Okay,
truth.
you go into this the laboratory of objective truth inside your head.
Estás entrando al laboratorio de la verdad objetiva dentro de tu cabeza, dentro de tu cerebro.
The other thing is to impact yourself, which is to bring all your senses, to involve all your senses to make an impact on yourself.
La otra es traer todos estos sentidos para impactar a nuestro ser.
So the senses are the eye, you see, you hear.
Los sentidos son la vista, el oído, el olfato.
So when you have a flower, you can see the flower, plus you can smell the flower.
Cuando tienes una flor, la puedes ver y oler.
And maybe you can't hear it, but
Tal vez no la puedas oír.
King Solomon, I think they knew the language of plants.
Dicen que el rey Salomón tenía el lenguaje, lo entendía, el del lenguaje de las plantas.
Yeah. And there's some people who claim they also can talk to plants. If you go on the internet, you can find some people, you always can find people who claim that. Some people claim they also can talk to plants.
Y en el internet podemos encontrar a gente que dice que habla con las plantas. Okay, the next part of her question. Dear Rab, caray, es que...
It's in English.
Ella lo tradujo, sí. Bueno, ¿cómo hacer que...
an act of contemplation and not a mere rational act? Oh.
Bueno, ¿cómo hacer que nuestras plegarias sean un acto de contemplación y no un mero acto racional?
Well, when we use our imagination, you see, when we're using our imagination,
cuando usamos nuestra imaginación
to perceive ourselves as talking to Hashem,
para percibirnos como hablando a Hashem,
but then this thing has an impact on us, and we feel more. We're feeling more and more that we are talking to Hashem.
Esto tiene un impacto en nosotros y sentimos más y más cómo es que estamos hablando con Hashem.
That's kind of what prayer looks like with contemplation.
Así es como se ve el rezo con contemplación.
Okay, and this is close. Okay. And the thing is that imagination seems to be not exactly the same as abstract but I think you may need the abstract laboratory to produce the right imagination.
Creo que necesitaremos del laboratorio de lo abstracto para producir la imaginación. Pero la imaginación no es abstracta. La imaginación, producir la imaginación correcta.
Okay.
Okay, Moshe. ¿Cómo definiríamos el pensamiento abstracto desde la perspectiva de la Torá y los sabios? how can we define the abstract thinking from the perspective of Torah and the sages?
I don't I we that is that I don't know what whatever. I don't know. We try to explain it before exactly what it is. So I don't know what's not clear about the definition. You have to say specifically if something's not clear. I don't know what's not clear.
Bueno, hace 20 minutos escribió Moshe esa pregunta y el Rab dice, hemos estado hablando de esto. Sería que preguntaras en específico qué es lo que no quedó claro.
Because it doesn't have to do with the Torah or anywhere. The only way you're going to find it, understand it, is inside your mind.
Porque no está en la Torah. La única forma que lo lograrás entender es adentro de tu mente, porque allí está.
But everybody has to use this power. I mean, always your people are confronted with like moral choices.
Pero todo el mundo tiene que usar este poder. Somos confrontados con decisiones, elecciones a tomar que son de carácter moral.
And then you have to go into this laboratory, and you may have different biases. You may want to do this, and you have to go into that laboratory and try to get a hold of what's really objectively correct.
Y tendríamos que entrar a este laboratorio para realmente ver lo que objetivamente es correcto.
Now, some people are good at this, but some people have broken laboratories.
Hay gente que es buena para esto, pero luego hay gente que tiene un laboratorio descompuesto. Ok, Selma. Según lo que explica apreciado Rab, nuestra existencia debería ser un estado contemplativo, nuestra relación con las cosas, con lo que interactuamos, con las personas, con nuestro entorno.
Right. Very good. 100%. That's what Robbie is going to explain here more and more.
Sí, 100%. Es lo que Rab Wolbe va a explicar aquí más y más.
And so he's giving exercises to try to build these things. Sorry.
Él nos está dando ejercicios para tratar de construir estas cosas. Darío, el pensamiento sería consciente de lo abstracto, posiblemente los sentimientos, amor, odio, humildad, orgullo, etcétera, y comprender cómo utilizar aquello. Y contemplación es ser consciente de las cosas que son palpables por los sentidos y reconocer lo espiritual en aquello. Así es como lo comprendí, gracias. So he wants to check if he got the message right. Thinking would be sería consciente de lo abstracto. To be conscious of what is abstract, possibly the senses, unknown, the feelings, sorry, like love, hate, humility,
yes,
etc. And understand how to use that.
Understand how to use that is something else. Doesn't come under this at all.
Bueno, la parte de aprender a utilizarlo es algo más. No lo vimos aquí.
It doesn't have to do with this.
No tiene que ver con esto.
It's mathematical. It's a mathematical and cold calculation.
Utilizarlos es matemático, es algo frío.
Cold calculation.
Un cálculo frío.
And just to be able to see what's kind of what's right, what's true and what's not true. That's
Solo ver qué es verdad y qué no es verdad. Okay, so he wants to know if he got contemplation right. Y contemplación es ser consciente de las cosas. Contemplation is to be aware of the things that are
Right.
sensed by our senses and to acknowledge spiritual stuff in it.
No, it's not. It doesn't say. It doesn't define what to acknowledge. Not define.
No define qué es lo que hemos de reconocer,
Over here, it's just to be impacted by this thing.
solo que seas impactado por ello.
That's a different task of is to perceive it as spiritual. That's a different task.
Percibirlo como espiritual es una tarea diferente.
Okay. Yeah.
Moshe,
Maybe it's clearer to you at this point. I would try to clarify. Okay, go on to the next one.
espero que ya esté más claro para ti, Darío, en este punto. Moshe, si fuéramos a hablar de contemplación, tendríamos que echar un vistazo a Abraham Abulafia, quien dedicó su vida a estos estados de contemplación.
Yeah.
If
I don't know
we're
nothing.
to
I don't
spend
know anything about Abulafia. I know nothing about him. I don't know. My teachers don't talk about it. I don't know nothing about him.
Mis maestros no hablan de Abulafia. Yo no conozco o sé nada de Abulafia.
Maybe I heard his name, but other than that, I don't know. I don't know nothing because I'm only teach according to what I learned from my teachers.
He escuchado su nombre, pero más de eso no sé. Yo solo enseño de acuerdo a lo aprendido de mis maestros. Selma, ¿cómo podemos estudiar, profundizar e incrementar la contemplación?
Okay, this is a very good question, and so hopefully
Esta es buena,
will help us with this. It's helping us with this.
esta es buena pregunta de Selma y yo espero que Ralph Wolby nos ayude a contestarla.
And so far we have one exercise. Simple. Take one thing, a few minutes. Try to see try to become aware that by contemplating, you're going to change. You can change.
Entonces, hasta ahorita, Selma, tenemos un ejercicio de Ralph Wolby, que es este de tomar una cosa de procedencia natural y pensar en ello, y luego, no es cierto, nomás no dijo de procedencia natural.
It could change.
Does this thing has to be from a natural source?
Wait, please. Wait, first finish the try and translate. Please forgive me.
Okay. A ver, vamos otra vez, de nuevo. Please, again, Rob. I can't hear you.
Try to be aware of how your relationship with this thing changes.
Trata de ver cómo cambia tu relación con esta cosa.
Through this contemplation.
A través de esta contemplación.
Rav Wolby said it should be natural. A natural thing.
Rav Wolby dice que debería de ser algo natural.
Everybody's got to be able to find something natural nearby. But don't tell me there's nothing natural.
Todos debiéramos de poder encontrar algo natural de procedencia de la naturaleza, donde quiera que estemos.
Blade of grass, anything.
La grama, el pasto, la hierba, algo, cualquier cosa. Ok, Moshe, como el sadikim después que contempla y visualiza lo espiritual basado en sus 5 sentidos, puede llevarnos ideas y exponernos lo que percibió a través de libros que a veces no solemos entender, sino con la ayuda de ellos. Like the Sadiqim that contemplates and visualizes the spiritual based on his 5 senses, it could take us to ideas and show us what he perceived through the books. Sometimes we do not quite understand, but with the help of them.
Okay, sounds good to me. Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Suena bien, suena bien. Alejandra, por el Alzheimer y el dolor y la ansiedad de mi madre, hice algunos ejercicios para observar mis pensamientos, como si fuera una tercera persona. Because of my mother's Alzheimer's and the pain and anxiety in my
Yeah.
mother, I made a few exercises to be able to take a look at my own thoughts
Right. Yeah.
as if I were a third person.
Very
Ningún
interesting.
juicio de mis pensamientos, finalmente pensar y sentir la presencia del Creador a través de hablarle, porque como mi madre no tiene el lado izquierdo del cerebro, tenía que hacerle sentir la presencia, pero ahora se ve bastante diferente. Voy a intentarlo. Parece bastante avanzado. Okay, her mother doesn't have the left side of her brain working. So,
Is the left
um,
side her thinking part, or you see the left side in the science they would say that the left side is the thinking part. If she's missing the thinking
yes.
part, she only has like imagination more.
Entonces, si ella no tiene el lado izquierdo, dice el Rab, los científicos dicen que esa es la parte del pensamiento. Entonces, ella tiene más la parte de la imaginación.
Okay, so what else does she say here?
Well, yeah.
Tiene que
That,
hacerla sentir la presencia. What does that mean?
well, finalmente pensar y sentir la presencia del Creador a través de hablarle, porque como mi madre, okay, she could not, she's she has a trouble of not being able to let her know about the presence of the Creator because she needs to kind of feel the presence to understand what
Yes,
she's
yes.
talking about to her.
Right, right.
But, pero ahora sé bastante diferente, voy a intentarlo, parece bastante avanzado. But now, I guess after the class, but now it seems different, so I'm gonna try again.
Okay, interesting. I don't know,
Bueno,
whatever.
es
I don't know,
interesante,
but
no
don't blame it on
sé,
me, whatever happens. Okay,
pero no me culpes a mí, pase lo que pase. Ok,
okay.
es lo único que la ayuda con el dolor. It's the only thing that helps her with her pain. ¿Qué es lo que le
Herself,
ayuda?
she's saying. She's
La,
saying for
la
herself.
presencia.
I'm not classical. Okay, she's saying her own pain. I
Oh,
don't know. Not sure what she means.
ok,
Okay,
no, no te entendemos el dolor de quién, cómo.
but
Bueno,
thank you for sharing this, though.
pero muchas gracias por compartir. Luis Enrique, yo hablo con las
Oh,
plantas.
you
Oh,
see, I knew that somebody could talk to plants, but they talk back to you. You talk to them.
pero te contestan, Luis. Bueno, Avid, Rap, pensar con el lado derecho es todo lo bueno y correcto, donde el lado izquierdo piensa interrumpir al lado derecho y sacar del contexto verídico. En este caso, ¿cómo pararlo? Okay,
Aha.
so Avid says,
Yes.
if the good thing is done by the right side of the brain, uh, in the left side, it's only interrupting
Yes.
the right side. So, how can we stop that from happening?
Uh, I don't know. The goal of the right part of the brain only is to have knowledge of the truth, let's say.
Digamos que la meta del lado derecho del cerebro es solo obtener el conocimiento de la verdad.
Of truth. So the only question
Conocimiento
is,
de la
do
verdad.
you know the truth or not? Are you missing the truth or you're not missing it?
Entonces, realmente la pregunta aquí es, ¿Te hace falta la verdad? ¿Conoces la verdad?
Now, sometimes you'll be in a situation where your like left side will not allow you to get to the truth. Maybe you could be in such a situation.
Pudieras estar en la situación donde el lado izquierdo no te deja llegar a la verdad.
So in this case, in that case, then you have to maybe you can ask somebody else, somebody else who you would trust to tell you what's right and what's wrong over there.
Y en ese caso, tal vez te pueda ayudar poderle preguntar a alguien en quien tú confíes qué es lo correcto y qué no es lo correcto.
Should I rob the bank or should I not rob the bank?
Si debo robar el banco o no robar el banco.
Right. But then you're going to say that the left side of your brain says that we shouldn't trust anybody.
La parte izquierda del cerebro dice, no debes de confiar en nadie. Ok, Luis Enrique. Incluso si usted le pone música al agua con que riega las plantas y ésta la embote en una etiqueta escribiéndole una palabra favorable, salud completa, sanidad, felicidad y otros que se hace que plantas que están casi muertas revivan. Esto se debe a que el agua se reestructura en formas hexagesimales simétricas, mejora la calidad de agua. Las palabras matemáticamente tienen una vibración, aquellas que tienen una medición de 369 Hz son capaces de mejorar ciertos seres vivos, según la matemática cuántica.
Enrique, I'm telling you, he's like a big master but more from the right side of the brain. He's a master over there.
Bueno, pues Luis Enrique es un maestro del lado derecho del cerebro.
Right, but over here, the contemplation we want here is how can this thing have an effect on you? That's the question.
Pero
what does
aquí
the plant have to say to you?
Sería, ¿qué tiene la planta que decirte a ti? La contemplación busca ser impactado. Isabel o Elisheva. Rab, en este caso del cerebro y el lado derecho e izquierdo, ¿no es hablar de Kabbalah, Binah y Jochma?
Yes. It is those kind of things, but I don't get involved in the Kabbalah. But that's why I say right and left. I don't get involved. I don't get involved in it too much. But it has to do with these two things.
Yo no me involucro con la Kabbalah, pero sí tiene que ver con estas dos cosas. Yo le llamo derecho y izquierdo. Avid, usar la imaginación de una lectura o de una planta, su crecimiento es estupendo. Pensar cómo sale de la tierra con la ayuda del Eterno, con solo imaginar me siento feliz. ¿Esto está bien? Avid wants to know if it's okay for her to get so emotional just to be thinking of how a plant spurts out from the earth.
Yes.
Just 100%.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Sí, es algo maravilloso.
Right. Actually, now they have on the internet where you could see, where you could find these things like speed it up, so you can. It makes a certain impression on somebody when you see that, where they speed up the growing of a plant.
De hecho, tienen en internet estas cámaras que a través de semanas filman y en cuestión de segundos o minutos te pasan la vida rápida de la planta, de cómo se desarrolla. Ok, Alexandra.
This makes an impression on a person.
Y esto causa impresión en la persona.
But if you have a good imagination like Avid, then you don't need the YouTube and all that.
Pero si tienes una imaginación vívida como la de David, no necesitarás YouTube. Alejandra estaba hablando del dolor de su madre. Mi madre dolor. Okay. She
Oh,
was
okay, I understand.
speaking of,
I
okay.
understand. By the
Darío.
way, I want to say for sure overall, it's for sure a rule. Men are much better at this right brain part, and women are much better at the left brain part, for sure.
Es un hecho, de seguro. Los hombres son mejores en cuanto a usar esta parte derecha del cerebro y las mujeres la izquierda.
And surely that has something to do with the partnership that Hashem made. That should be a partnership between men and women. It has something to do with it. Sure.
Y de seguro esto tiene que ver con esta asociación o sociedad que el Eterno diseñó entre el hombre y la mujer.
Oh, I didn't realize we went way over the time already. I have no idea.
Okay. Okay. Darío, un amigo tuvo una experiencia mientras caminaba por las calles y me comentó que hasta caminar puede ser una experiencia única e impactante que puede hacer ver una nueva realidad. Darío was told by a friend that he was changed by thinking while walking, or the experience that he had in walking. It
Very interesting.
changed his reality.
Very interesting.
Okay, so tenemos gracias, ya nos hemos pasado mucho, pero Luis Enrique, a mí me pasa con música selecta. Puedo alcanzar niveles espirituales por medio de la música solo con escucharla. For him, music does the trick. He can raise to levels with selective music.
Oh, so
Okay.
he loves the. So Luis Miguel says, I believe that the plants talk to me con su mayoría, I'm not sure, si ponen bonitas en mi don alegría. I'm not sure what he means there. I don't know. You could translate what he says. I don't know what he means there.
Okay. A ver, yo creo que las plantas me hablan con su mejoría, se ponen bonitas y me dan alegría. Oh, well, the answer from the plants is while they get better, they get prettier, and that gives me happiness. Yo siento que cuando...
All right, they are affecting you somehow. They're making you happy.
Sí, te están afectando de alguna manera, te hacen feliz. Yo siento que cuando me siento triste salgo a verlas, las toco y como que me hablan reconfortándome, que me siento mejor. Es como que me equilibran, tal si Hashem me hablara, me dijera, mira, todo lo que te doy es maravilloso, sigue adelante, lucha. So when I'm feeling low, plants kind of tell me by Hashem's doing them marvelous, he says, this is what I've done for you, so just keep going. Okay. Entonces ya le paramos.
Right. Bueno. Okay, and only the Ashkenazim don't listen to music at this point. I don't know.
At this point in the calendar, or at this point in the revolving process?
No, in the calendar. So I'm referring to the upcoming messages. And please, we got to stop with the messages after, it's ready. It's way over the time.
Bueno, ya nos pasamos el tiempo. Solo que ahorita los judíos ashkenazi no escuchan música en este periodo de las 3 semanas.
Okay, and by the way, my typing doesn't work at all, so I'm not able to respond to people.
Y también quiero que sepan que mi teclado no funciona. Por esa razón, no puedo responderle a la gente.
And by the way, tell Enrique that I have this thing, Team Viewer.
Dice que le digamos a Enrique que él tiene esto que se llama Teams, ¿what?
Team Viewer.
Pues es como que una de estas aplicaciones para hablar y verse que se llama TeamViewer.
Yeah. Maybe you can
Gee, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Raf.
tell them to send me a message, a private message, what I can do with this thing, what I'm supposed to do with this thing.
Que le mandes un mensaje por privado al Raf para que le digas qué hacer con esta cosa.
Because then I can, maybe you can help me fix it.
Quizás entonces me puedas ayudar a arreglarlo. All right.
Okay.
Gracias. Gracias por enseñarnos, Raf. Gracias. Bye.